Philippines is a country located in Southeast Asia, made up of 1,107 islands and a population of more than 107 million people. This country produces natural resources such as timber, petroleum, ranked as a low-middle income class with a GDP per capita of 4,700. Philippines shows that it has a tropical marine and monsoon climate year-round and appears in the typhoon belt, which means it is struck by 5 to 6 typhoons/tropical storms each year. Tropical cyclones, hurricanes, and typhoons all start out as tropical thunderstorms. The strong winds from the storm itself begins to pull up the moisture from the oceans. The thunderstorm then begins to transform the moisture into heat, causing the evaporation process. The center of a tropical thunderstorm is called the eye. The heat and wind move towards the center, creating pressure, which will in the end increase the strength and the speed of the storm. Over Typhoon Haiyan. From this image, you can also see the eye of the typhoon and the grand massive scale that these tropical thunderstorms can reach. Using sources from the Washington Post, NOAA, Central Weather Bureau, the Globe and Mail put together a map of the path taken by Typhoon Haiyan and the path that crossed through one of the most densely populated areas of the Philippines. The most recent typhoon to hit the Philippines is known as Typhoon Haiyan, which was estimated of damage losses ranging from 6.5 billion to 14.5 billion US dollars by air worldwide. This storm left more than 2,000 people dead and over 650,000 people homeless. Samar and Cebu, ranked as one of the most affected areas in Tacloban City, was hit with the hardest. This typhoon caused damage to all infrastructures, agricultural land, and private. Typhoons can cause damage to structures by wind penetration, the uplift of a roof system, storm surges, settlement loads and irregularities, and flooding and possible landslides. This image was obtained from the COMET program, and it shows the trough located in the North Pacific tropical region. This trough has winds going in opposite directions, which adds speed and direction to the storms that are created in this area. From here, the storms then begin to add spin and head towards the country. Suction or uplift forces, which means that the winds will begin to tear up the roof from different areas depending on the magnitude of the roof. It will affect anything inside the building itself and cost a lot of money during reparation. This image, obtained from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, shows storm surges that can affect coastal cities. Storm surges are cyclonical winds and forces being pushed onto the sea, and adding wave to the equation creates surges that could wipe away houses. In eastern Visayas, a region of 4,101,322 people, these could be very damaging to not only the environment but also the infrastructures and people's lives. These following images are taken from the Australian ABC network and shows the comparison of the before and after effect of Typhoon Yolanda. Most of the land and economy in eastern Visayas relies on cropland, which takes up more than 650,000 hectares. Cited from the Central Intelligence Agency, the Philippines produces and exports sugarcane, coconuts, rice, corn, bananas, cassavas, apples, and mangoes. There has not been a typhoon that has not affected cropland by flooding and also by bringing all the debris from houses over the crops. You can see on this, it shows the before and after effect of what happened during Typhoon Haiyan. And we can see that the house's weak structures bring them down easily. This image was also obtained from the Australian ABC network and shows Tacloban City in the Philippines. As you can see in the image, damage was done to all agricultural, private, and public land. Typhoon Haiyan left over 650,000 people homeless, and the donated money from the other countries left to repair their shattered
So this is our solution. It's called a dome home. According to Dragon Speed Design Group, the dome home house features pillings around the perimeter of the house to prevent the structure from moving, since the pillings are drilled 0.30 meters into the ground. It also has a circular airform concrete top cover that is connected to the pillings. Strong winds pass around the house without creating pressure. Bottom openings, which are here, allows storm surges and strong winds to flow through. The walls of the dome home is 4 times more secure than a regular wall in a regular housing structure because it has 7 layers to make up the walls. Roofs and shingles don't need to be replaced after a typhoon because, as you can see, there aren't any roofs or shingles. Fiberglass insulation isn't included also. The dome home won't get wet, and this prevents molding and mildew from forming. These pilings are used in a dome home structure. It is made from recyclables that have been structurally reinforced by fiberglass rebar. This prevents corrosion, termites, and borers, and also doesn't leak any chemicals when placed into the ground. These pilings are used for structures that are located in soft soils. Our dome home structure also features airform. Now, according to Dragon Speed Design Group, airform is made out of heavy PVC vinyl fabric. After it's been inflated over the pilings, it acts like a mold for the construction of the dome. A dome home also features foam. Foam is used between walls because it doesn't absorb moisture because moisture is carried by air and foam is air sealing. It also doesn't form any food for like termites and rodents, etc. And a dome home also has bottom openings so that during a hurricane, storm surges are able to pass through the house. And examples of the dome home structure being used is one in France, designed by Soleil and can withstand Category 5 hurricanes. Another example is in Pensacola Beach, Florida, built by Mark and Valerie Ziegler. This dome can withstand 150 miles per hour winds, deflects storm surges, and has survived Hurricane Katrina and Yvonne. Another example is one in De Isle, Mississippi, designed by Monolithic. It is a hurricane shelter, and it has survived Hurricane Katrina, and it's built to... The pilings during a hurricane actually flex because it's durable enough. And if these pilings were not to flex, the hurricane winds would actually blow the dome away from the pressure forced. Another force that is put to work is to do with the shape of the dome. Now, according to PBS Online, when loads are placed onto the dome, because of its arc shape, it's able to stabilize because the arc compresses itself. Only the wind load is relevant, so it just flows over the dome. When the strong winds and flying debris of a hurricane hits the dome, it's able to stabilize itself because the thickness of the dome lessens the chance of the dome bending from the wind and dynamic load. The piles also help with the sediment load because it helps stabilize the structure from within the ground. A dome home is suitable for a low-income country because, according to Dragon Speed Design Group, normal structures actually have pilings every 3.04 meters, but pilings used in a dome home is only for the perimeter. So if you compare a normal home piling to a dome home piling, you're able to actually save $40,000 or more. The openings at the bottom are not only for storm surges, but you can use it for a parking space, which shows efficient use of space. Also, after a typhoon, there's no need for construction or reconstruction of roofs or shingles because that is not a feature of a dome home, which means this saves money and also demonstrates more longevity than a regular home. Also, no chemicals are leaked into the soil from the pilings because it's made out of recyclables. This is beneficial for eastern Visayas because they have coastlines that can be polluted by normal pilings. According to Monolithic, depending on the size of the land each family owns, the construction of a dome home for them will most likely be equivalent to the price of their land. And because Eastern Visayas is a low-income region, not everyone will be able to afford it. As we are pitching this proposed solution to the government, the structure costs can be high, and the government will most likely need to provide the money for some citizens. The government can use their money if they have enough, or ask for an aid, or use the money raised from Typhoon Haiyan. The pilings of a dome home is environmentally friendly, and concerning the location of Eastern Visayas, it's a good thing, because unlike the usual metal pilings that are used, it won't have any chemical leakage because it doesn't rust. This is a good point because, as stated by the National Statistical Corporation Board in Eastern Visayas, there's a lot of agriculture there. 723,048 hectares out of 2,325,395 hectares of land is agricultural, and making up 44.7% of the employment in Eastern Visayas.
Due to the geographical location of the Philippines, the price of the dome home would be quite high, and so would obtaining materials.
The positive points is that storm surges won't flip the house, there's no mildew or mold, and the floors stay secure.
The flying debris won't fly off of the dome home, and less housing parts will need to be replaced after a typhoon.